Hello and welcome to Habit Nerd, a podcast show that knows that few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily systems, habits, and mindset. I'm your host, Dr. Bree Hurn, a multi-passionate researcher, lecturer, speaker, and coach. Once a perfectionist who was always busy but not necessarily effective, I overcame illness and burnout and am now obsessed with sharing the science and systems for working with efficiency and habits for abundant health in your mind and your body. Each week, my guests and I share stories and lessons backed by research. So let's buckle up and dive straight into today's empowering conversation. Hello, Habit Nerds, and welcome back to another episode. I today am talking about systems to help you get organised for a really great school year. We are embarking on a new school year for 2025, and I know that I have got listeners who have got children and loved ones in their families who are all the way from kindergarten age or even younger, all the way up to late secondary. So I thought it might be helpful to come in today with an episode to pull together a lot of my personal learnings and also things that I've been able to ascertain from different experts throughout my research in getting families organised so that the school year runs as smoothly as possible. You might know that I am a mother of two myself, but I'm also an educator of over 25 years and somebody who's juggling multiple work priorities and family priorities and my own business. So I'm very passionate about putting in the systems to support the most organised version of yourself so that you can support your whole family in reducing your stress levels and be able to achieve what you want throughout the week in terms of the organisation and the routine. So let's start with an acceptance that mornings start the night before. So if you have a school morning, it actually needs to have gotten underway in terms of planning and organisation the day before. It's a great idea to create a getting ready for school checklist for mornings, particularly if your children are young, and make sure that the children understand and are able to confidently execute all of the steps. So you could have this printed out and laminated. It could be on a whiteboard. It could be something that's stuck on the wall or on the fridge. It would say things like, I make my bed and put my pajamas under the pillow. And that's something that your child needs to tick off once they've done it. I eat breakfast. I brush my teeth. I brush my hair. I get dressed. I pack my lunchbox. I collect my drink bottle. I put my lunchbox and my drink bottle in my school bag. So they should be things that your child or your young person at home should be able to confidently work through that checklist without reminders from you and understand that each morning they are the non-negotiables and things that they can be independent with. Smart idea to set up breakfast the night before and encourage independence with this preparation. I know for myself, I like to have my smoothie ingredients grouped in a container, ready to go. Sometimes I'll have my overnight oats in the fridge, or sometimes I'll just literally have my oats poured into the saucepan ready to put milk in and stir in the morning. Lay out your own work clothes the night before. So for me, this is both my workout clothes because I exercise most mornings. So this includes my runners, it includes my socks, it includes my underwear, and I also lay out my own work clothes. This reduces the decision fatigue and it reduces the chance that I'm going to be panicked and running around finding a pair of pants that need to be ironed or a shirt that goes with the pants that I want to wear or the belt that matches or whatever it is. So if you can think about what you'd like to wear the next day based on the weather and based on the activities of the day and lay that out, that will reduce the stress in the morning. Set your alarm for Magic Mum time or Magic Dad time, but the alliteration doesn't sound as good in that one, for 30 minutes before everybody else in your family gets up. This is going to allow you to set your day up however feels good to you. That might mean showering and dressing in peace. It might mean sitting and enjoying a cup of tea or coffee in the quiet. It might mean doing a meditation, setting an intention, doing some visualization or some journaling. It might even be functional things to help set you up for the day, like putting on a load of washing or preparing lunches without distraction. Winning the morning means that you will set yourself up as best you possibly can for a winning day. Now, I know that you have probably seen things on Pinterest and Instagram around a family command center. So that's where you can have a spot where everybody in your family understands that the school bags go, things like the art smock and the, notes for permission notes for school, and things go in one spot. That is great if you've got the space for it. And, I've seen some super aspirational command centers, and I've even tried it myself. Good luck to you if you can do that. I'm sure it will work really well for you. For me, it's the hall cupboard. Our command center is where my girls know their school bags go, and there is a shelf in that hall cupboard for their school uniforms. Now, a good idea on a Sunday is to create a week's worth of clothes for your children and for yourself if you've got time to do that as well, and to iron everything you need and make sure that you know where it is. I've heard it done before, and it certainly worked for me, to create a bundle of the whole outfit for the day, including socks and underwear and things like hair bows, and put an elastic band around it. The shoes go right beside it. That way, there are 5 bundles, so 5 bundles with an elastic band around each for daycare or for school. If there's an extracurricular activity that day, put that bundle of clothes or the materials that you need with an elastic band on that same shelf. So your child gets up, they know to go to their shelf, they know to take their bundle, get dressed, and then the next day they've got a new bundle ready to go. Hi everyone, I do hope you're enjoying The Habit Nerd. Now, whilst I love sharing research-informed, tried and tested habits for work, health and mindset on this podcast, you might not know that I am also a keynote speaker and I facilitate workshops. Now, I have opened up a limited amount of dates just in the first half of 2025 so that your organisation or event can engage me, The Habit Nerd. We can work together to refine the message just for your context, but I can use the principles of behavioural science and organisational psychology to create and sustain positive habits and cover things like task prioritisation, calendar management, hybrid work practices, managing email, and productivity habits, just to name a few. I can also help you with which habits have the most comprehensive impact across your life, work and learning habits, habits to create and maintain physical health, and mental health habits to thrive in a busy life. So if a warm, engaging presentation or workshop dripping in practical strategies and propped up by credible research sounds like something you or your organisation could really do with, then go to The Habit Nerd on Instagram. Let's work together to create some really great habits. It's great in the command center if there is space for a pin board and a calendar. On that, you can write sports days, music lessons, the lunch order days, things like excursions, so that your children know what is coming up that week. Now, the next thing I can talk about is school lunches. This is something to do some pre-thinking about so that you can execute it with peace and a little bit more calm. It's recommended that you have a lunch packing system. So this is separate baskets or clear bins in your fridge. In one bin goes cut up fruit and veggies that are already in small containers or snap-lot bags that your child can just take. There is a separate basket or a clear bin for yogurt or fruit squeezes, another one for cheese. Then in the pantry, you can have baskets for dry crackers, maybe one for muesli bars, one for small bagged snacks, so things like potato chips, etc. That way, your child knows to pack their own lunch. All they have to do is go to the separate bins in the fridge and pick out what they need, and then go to the pantry and do the same thing. I know if I've been particularly organised, I have baked muffins or a cake or cookies on the weekend. They are pre-wrapped in what I call a sweet baker box in the freezer. Any savoury pre-prepared snacks are in the savoury baker box. So these are things like pinwheels or mini pizzas or ham and cheese muffins, etc. So my girls know I've got a large box for sweet baking and a large box for savoury baking, and they can go to that and get something for their lunchbox as well. Once you've done that pre-work, all that's required of you in the morning is anything that needs fresh preparation. So things like sandwiches or wraps or putting leftovers into a thermos. Now, a tip is that bento boxes, I have a Yum box, but they're basically the lunch boxes which, with lots of little compartments, are really great for both kids and adults because they encourage variety. They encourage choosing different types of food and different colours of foods. I know it's a challenge if there are 5 sections for myself to put in some cheese, some raw vegetables, some nuts, maybe, a sandwich. I try and challenge myself to really create some variety in there, and then it's just something to look forward to throughout the day if I've got lots of my different favourite types of food, and kids like to be able to have some agency and some autonomy to do that as well. Good idea to have drink bottles already filled and in the fridge the night before, so young people and children just take it. Have lunch boxes open on the kitchen bench, and that way young people, children just fill them and they're ready to go. Always a good idea to have cold packs in the freezer ready to put inside lunch boxes, and ice trays filled up so that they can put ice cubes in their drink bottles for those warmer days. Then, habit nerds thinking about the afternoons. In the same way as you've had a morning checklist, you might like to have an after-school checklist. It could say things like this: take out lunchbox and put containers in the sink and throw away any rubbish. So your child or your young person knows to come home and unpack their bag and do that before you need to ask them to. Unpack school bag and put it away, ready for tomorrow. Have a snack and a big drink of water, and that will help your child stay alert for their homework or any extracurricular activities that are taking place after school. And depending on their age, maybe on the after school checklist it could say something like start homework or read for 15 minutes or whatever is relevant to your child or your young person. Now, speaking of homework, I might do a separate episode on this at another time, but a few general pointers. Have a designated quiet space for homework. It's a great idea to get your child's input to make this decision where they're going to do their homework. Some children like the accountability and the support of being out in a shared space like the kitchen or a living area, but others like the quiet and the independence of being away from where the family are, so in their bedroom. That's a decision that you can make together as a family. Create a homework centre together. Now, doing this together signals to your young person that you value their learning. If it does have to be in a common area like the kitchen where you need to pack their homework away, create a homework caddy together. And in that caddy, you can put everything they need. So pens and pencils, an eraser, sharpener, highlighters, ruler, post-it notes, maybe a scrap notebook. Give your child or your teenager some agency over the way they decorate their space, but ensure that it's clear of clutter or it may become overwhelming, and you might need to support them with that on a more ongoing basis. Now, it's a really great idea to establish a consistent homework time that suits your child and your whole family. Try and support that this routine is kept to as much as possible. It's also so helpful to help establish a homework schedule for the week. So meaning your child or your teen might come home on a Monday with larger assignments that they need to do. It's so supportive if you can sit with them and help break the assignments down into chunks and plan out when each step of the assignment chunk will take place and what materials or resources they might need. So you can make a list together, and then that way the week runs more smoothly, and also your child or your young person feels a sense of confidence and that they will be able to achieve the assignment with your support by the time that it's due. Now, if homework is a problem for your child or your young person, or it's causing stress at home, make sure you talk to the school. You don't need to suffer alone with that. Teachers are there to have those conversations. If homework is a stress and you just can't get it happening, at the very least, encourage some reading. Now, if your child's not into reading independently or they are a reluctant reader, even if you can read to them, it is the most important thing you can do for them. And make sure it is as often as it possibly can be. So aim for every single day. Now, let's have a quick chat about dinner. Now, dinner can be one of the main sources of stress when you are juggling multiple things as a family. It's a smart idea to have a family meeting and collect everyone's top 3 favorite dinner ideas. That way, you can use those dinner ideas to create a menu for maybe 10 work nights or 10 school nights, so a fortnight's worth of meals. Keep that list handy. Mine is on my notes app in my phone, and this helps guide my grocery shopping and it helps me reduce waste. It also reduces the decision fatigue of sitting at work or coming home rushed and tired and thinking, what are we going to have for dinner? Because your children have had some say over what they like and you already have the ingredients and it's a matter of just executing it. Now, I'm a big advocate for preparing and cooking once and using thrice. What I mean by this is if you're cutting up veggies, so say you're cutting up capsicum, cucumber, you're peeling and chopping carrots, do triple the amount so that you can have raw vegetable snacks on top of what you're going to use for the dinner that night. If you are blitzing in a food processor or the Thermomix like I do, onions, carrots, zucchinis, capsicum, mushrooms to use as a base for things like bolognese, do triple so that you can also make a taco or a burrito base. You might make a shepherd's pie with it or even lasagna. It's advised, and this certainly works for me, to steam or to air fry double the protein. So you might steam some chicken or some steak or maybe a lamb backstrap. If you use it for dinner that night, double the amount, and then you can put the leftovers in the fridge to use in wraps or sandwiches or even just grilled as a snack on its own. I love just bits of steak or bits of chicken in my lunchbox, and then I can have that with some raw veggies at work. I really do love that as either a snack or as my lunch. Make a double batch of slow cooked casseroles or soups or lasagna or pasta sauce and stock your freezer for future you on a night when you are tired and pressed for time. Now, speaking of dinner, it's a good idea based on advice from dietitians and also from psychologists to try and eat dinner together as a family without the distraction of screens. So put your phones away and have the TV turned off. This is for a few reasons. The first one, from an educational point of view, is it encourages oral language. So it encourages that back and forth discourse at the table. And the more children speak, the better they get at language. Even this is true for teens, expanding their vocabulary, and that is going to pay dividends for their learning at school. Obviously, eating at the table together keeps you connected as a family, and it promotes positive eating habits. Now, this is because the family are engaging fully in the taste, the smell, the look, and the texture of different foods. So those are my tips for dinner time. And finally, habit nerds, I'm just going to touch on a wind down routine. Now, whilst you might have a wind down routine for work, I know I certainly do, where I create a boundary between when my workday finishes and my family evening starts, we want this for our young people as well. So encourage a wind down routine that everybody's across. So it might be no screens for an hour before bed. It might be that we turn the lights down low, that we encourage reading. And so if your child's young, you might read them a book. They might have a bedtime story, or you might find 5 or 10 minutes to sit on the couch and enjoy a picture storybook together. I know I've got some beautiful memories even with my children at the age that they are now, so sort of that later tween and teenage, where we sit on the couch and just read for 15 minutes all individually. So we read independently on different couches and spots in the lounge room. So that's a really great thing to help everybody wind down. And obviously that is going to help you prioritize adequate sleep, which we all know is the absolute magic elixir, so that everybody can rest, restore, recover, and be able to wake up fresh to start all this again the next day. So I hope those tips for you around the morning chaos, the school lunches, what happens in the afternoons, homework, dinner routines, and a wind down schedule were helpful for you in getting yourselves and your children set up for a really productive, really excellent school year. And I look forward to connecting with you all next time. Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Habit Nerd. I hope you found some new inspiration, learned something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you did enjoy the episode, I would be really grateful if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it should only take you 5 seconds. If you're keen for more tips and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow Habit Nerd.